When we look at the list of topics in his newsletter this month, we'll see a common thread if we look at this. And that for me is the advantage of utilizing Office software such as Magnet Office Base. Okay, this is the basic Magnet Office package, which I highly encourage people to have. The reason for that is while Magnet Field, Pocket 3D, Topcon Digital Layout all have the capability to import this CAD data that we're going to work with directly into the software, taking advantage of the Office platform is going to give me more capability, more flexibility, and quite honestly, going to be easier to use. Now, that's my opinion. Some people may find it easier to do this all in the field and not mess with Office software. But having spent a lot of time preparing data to go to the field, I have a lot of tools here in the Office software that I don't have in the field platform, and I have an environment that's a little easier to work with. So what I'm going to do first is import the overall site file. Now, what I notice is that this is a 12 meg file, which means there's a lot of data in here. And we're going to parse that data down. We're going to remove a lot of the unnecessary stuff. We're not going to scale this when we import. We're going to bring it in exactly as it is, and then we're going to tell it which pieces of information do we want. Do we want all the layers, some of the layers, the DTMs, the text? And by the way, when you bring in the blocks, how do you want to handle these? Okay, so I'm going to bring those all in. And the first thing we notice is there's something, I refer to this simply as a piece of junk or garbage off in space that we're going to get rid of. Okay, so here's the data that I'm left with. And either I need all of this or I decide, you know what, I don't. First of all, that file was 12 megs. That's a lot of stuff, and we're only working in this area. This is all I really want to take out to the controller. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a boundary around this. And then I'm going to utilize one of the things that I had mentioned, one of the tools that I have that allow me to prepare this. I'm going to delete data by boundary. I'm going to get rid of what's outside on all layers, taking advantage of the boundary I just drew. Okay, now everything is clipped down to that boundary. I can keep the boundary, or I can decide, you know what, I no longer need that. It doesn't do anything for me. I'll do two more things to prep this. Now that I've reduced the overall area, I want to look at all data and remove any duplicate information that's here and any layers that aren't being used. There are other things I can do with it, but this is my basic. This is my typical workflow. Just get rid of the stuff that's not serving me. Do you want to see the report? So it removed 92 duplicate lines, 1 duplicate point, and 26 layers that aren't used. So this is something I hear common from people who pull the data straight into the controller. How do I get rid of all these empty layers? Why do I have to sort through these? So we just remove those in one step. Now, to make this change a permanent true change, what I want to do is go ahead and purge. Basically, let's get rid of anything that's in here that's no longer here. Okay, so all those points that were there, any lines, pieces of text, strings, polygons, get rid of all of that data. Okay, and then this is what I'm left with. I'll go ahead and save this, and I'll give it a name. Now I could do more cleanup with this. Okay, if I don't want everything that's here, I can do more cleanup. This hatching, for example, if I want to turn this hatching off so that I don't see it, maybe I need to know where that area is, but I don't need it hatched in. I can click on it and say no hatch. And just like that, the hatching is gone. Those things, the hatching, can take up extra space. They create a larger file. Now, I can also utilize one of the commands that's here inside of Office, which is the edit select by, and tell it to find all of the polygons. Doesn't matter to me the settings, what layer they're on. I want to find all of those. And I'm going to turn all of these off at once. Pattern, no hatch. Now we just got rid of all of the hatching. Okay, maybe these line types aren't working for me. I'll notice they have some special ones here created in AutoCAD. So I'll isolate that particular layer, properties, take the polyline and set the line style to a regular solid line. Okay, those are done. View all on. I can look for any other ones that have special line types that I don't need. Maybe that line style is creating extra information in the drawing. So here's another one for my sewers. I'm going to isolate that particular layer. Window around all of them, right-click properties, change the polyline to a solid line. Okay, so I could keep taking advantage of the tools that are here and cleaning this data up, turning this into something that's a little bit more usable to me in the field. Okay, maybe I don't need any of the sewer data. Again, this is where I can isolate these layers down to just what I need. Turn everything back on. Now I've made a lot of changes. I want to make sure I come back here and purge. Don't store any of that in memory. Get rid of it. Okay. So when I'm preparing the file, it often makes my life easier if I do this cleanup in the office and get it ready to go to the field than it is to try to deal with all of this information in the field. Now let's look at another topic with this is we have some extra data for lot 76 here, okay? I want to bring that information in and line it up with what's here. Now that data is in a different drawing unit, okay? It was done in architectural units, feet and inches, instead of decimal feet. Okay, so I've isolated this down to lot 56. I'm going to turn off a couple more things here. I don't need all of this sewer right now. It's not helping me at all. And then what I like to do to help me with the alignment is I like to go ahead and set points to align to. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert, I'm going to add a point, and I'm going to start this at 5001. I'm going to right click and set to endpoint. There's 5001 and there's 5002. Okay. The reason I do that is so that when I bring in the other, I'll know where to move these, this new data to. Okay. I also like to take advantage of the view, save view, and save that so I can utilize that later. Okay, I'm going to bring in the next file. So lot 76 is the one I want to bring in. This one we do have a conversion. So this is an architectural feet. So we're going to set this to US inches to tell it to convert this over to the current drawing units, which are decimal feet. Okay, so the first thing we see is it put it way down here in space. There's lot 76. Okay, I'm going to get rid of whatever this data is out here off in the side, and I'll always come in and pull a distance just to make sure that things are scaled correctly. So that should be 78 feet. That's exactly what we see. We're good. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to use the edit. Actually, I'm going to go to modify, align. This endpoint should match 0.5001. This endpoint should match 5002. I place those points because it makes my life a lot easier when I get to this step. Okay, so what just happened is we moved this into the correct location and we rotated to align this. If I had not applied the scale factor, maybe I didn't know what the scale was. At the same time it moved and rotated, it would have said, hey, there's a difference here. Do you want to go ahead and apply the scale? Now I just did the view. I saved that view. This is why it takes me right back to where I was. So now I can see the extra data that we brought in is in the correct spot. It's aligned. It's rotated. It's ready for me to start working. Now, there are other steps that we can do, but I wanted to highlight just some of these key reasons for utilizing something. Again, even as simple as Magnet Office Base, utilizing this very basic package to get a drawing ready to go in the field. Again, you can do this in field, Pocket 3D and Topcon digital layout. I can bring that data straight in, but I'm missing out on a lot of the tools I would use to prep this, use to align and combine multiple file types before sending it out. Now it's just a matter of connecting to either Enterprise and sending this up as a magnet field file, connecting to SiteLink and pushing it out as TP3, or simply going to the file export and saving this out as one of my Topcon formats. Okay, so when we look again at all of the content Mike has put in the newsletter, and we talk about machine control, and we talk about layout and LN150, we talk about all of this technology, we need to make sure we're considering the benefits and the advantage of having something even as simple as Magnet Office Basic or Magnet Office Base in that portfolio to do tasks like this. Now, this program, even the basic, will do way more than what we just did, but I wanted to focus on this is a common workflow. This is a common procedure of data prep. Sometimes we think data prep means we're building 3D models and we're doing all of this 3D stuff. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's more simple. It's as simple as combining multiple files together, reducing the amount of stuff that we see. Again, this file had a lot of stuff in it that we'll never use. And we condense this down to just what we need. So I hope this sheds some light on the value of having this Office software in the portfolio, in the mix of what we're doing, just for basic data prep and getting information ready to go out into the field. There is more content available on my Topcon now that shows you some of the other workflows that could be applied: point creation, surface creation, 3D modeling. We could take this more complex. This is just the high level advantage of having Office software as part of your workflow.